Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3.
It's a thumbs up. Okay, members. First item on the agenda is apologies. I have one from Councillor Sorkin-McGowan. No other apologies have been noted. So, Councillor McElrath.
Thanks, Chair. Can I note an apology from Alderman Wilson, please?
Thank you, Councillor McElrath. There's nobody else indicating. Okay, members, we'll move on to agenda item two, which is declarations of interest. Again, I've received none. No one is indicating, so as per usual, we'll take them as we go if you feel it's relevant. Agenda item 3 is the Health and Recreation Report. We have 2 decision items. So item 3.1, I'm going to hand over to Jonathan.
Thank you, Chair, and good evening, members. Report 3.1 in relation to the Department of Infrastructure, letter of offer for a Greenway and active travel projects. Members will be aware that there was a previous report brought before members in relation to a number of projects that officers had made applications for in relation to the department's offer to provide financial assistance in relation to greenways, blueways and active travel. You'll see within the report, officers have received correspondence back from the department in relation to the projects listed in the recommendations. Within the body of the report, members will note the detail and also the financial implications in relation to those reports. And Chair, I'm happy to take any questions. Thank you.
Okay, members, if you have any questions, you can indicate. Otherwise, I need Councillor Cosby.
Thank you, Lord Mayor, or Mr. Chairman. Happy to propose the recommendations that we accept them. Just also then just to say in Project 2, the active travel 100% grant for the installation of visitor monitoring technology from the Newry to Portadown Canal towpath. That's probably going to be the data that collates and gathers is going to be really useful, certainly going forward, particularly when it comes to well, I'm really primarily interested in the Portadown side of it, if I'm honest, because we know we've done some work along Shillington's Quay and down to the Ban River Bridge there. And I would really be keen that we gather as much data to see what the usage is like in that area to help our case to further develop the Portadown Riverside project going forward, because I'm conscious it has fallen off the capital list, but I'm also conscious that the area is in dire need of significant investment. So I just wanted to put that on record. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Cosby. So that has been proposed. I have someone to second this item. Councillor Tinsley, thank you. Much appreciated. Councillor McAlinton, were you looking to speak on this?
Yeah, yes, Chair. Thank you. Look, while I'm happy with the projects, this project, Chair, is there any particular reason why this gets preferential treatment over some of our projects on the capital plan, i.e. the Light Round Lurgan Park? Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. In relation to the projects that were identified, those projects that were identified and brought through that particular process were projects that were identified in the current capital program. There are other projects that are under consideration. One of the stipulations within this particular call was that the projects had to be delivered in year. So in essence, these were the projects that were far enough advanced to allow that to be those projects to be completed. There is an annual call in relation to this particular initiative. So again, towards the middle of next spring, summer, there'll be expected to be another call. And again, those projects at that particular time that are advanced significantly far enough could be submitted for further grant funding opportunities.
Thanks, Jonathan. Thank you. Thanks, Chair.
Okay, you're happy enough with that, Councillor McAlinton? Yeah.
Thank
okay,
you.
Members, if you're happy, we're going to move on. Agenda item 3.2, the Lochnet Partnership. And again, I'm back over to yourself, Jonathan.
Thank you, Chair. And again, members, in relation to this report, and I would refer you to the appendix in relation to a communication that we have received from the Loughnane Partnership, and again, we would provide and we would seek direction in relation to members in terms of corresponding back to the group with particular reference to the suggested response that's set out in the correspondence. Happy to take any questions, Chair.
Thank you, Jonathan. I have two speakers. Alderman Spears, I think you come on first.
Chairman, as you know, I raised this matter at party group leaders, and after that there was some discussion. In fact, there was a notice of motion, which most people are aware, that was eventually withdrawn. And if you look at the report from Sean O'Gorman, it does mention the two notices of motion which went through the two councils. Now, my understanding of it is that this was in fact agreed by all party group leaders in this council, that we adopt this same notice of motion. Now, I took the route that I did with the view to avoiding it coming or becoming controversial or whatever, that it would come across as everyone was united, that it wouldn't be by way of a notice of motion. So we have the two notices of motion there, and I think if we adopt them as the principle on which this council operates, I think, in fact, I would be happy to propose that.
Thank you, Alderman Spears. And I have to agree. I think it's a very sensible way forward. Councillor McAlinton.
Thank you, Chair, and thanks, Jonathan. Yes, and I just want to mention that having lived in the shores of Loughnane all my life, it's disappointing that year after year it continues to be underdeveloped, whilst at the same time potential for tourism, leisure and facilities on the loch are huge. People I speak to care more about the preservation and protection of the loch and the unique habitat and wildlife surrounding it, while at the same time it's providing hundreds of jobs locally. Given the strategic importance of the Ulster Canal, the Lagan navigation, the Blackwater and Upper Bann rivers, efforts should be made to sustainably develop the Loughnane so that it provides significant economic, tourism and environmental benefits to the wider council area. I understand this has been discussed at party leaders, as Alderman Spears mentioned, but the purpose of other council areas bringing this forward as a notice of motion is to ensure councils are not second guessing what other council commitments are, Mid-Ulster and Antrim Newton Abbey. Given this is cost neutral and council are not committing to spend any funds, I think it's time we confirm that our support for the Loughnane Partnership, and therefore I'm happy enough to second the recommendation, Chair. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councillor McAlinton. Councillor Catherine Nelson.
Thank you, Chair. And it was really just to say that, you know, on behalf of our party, that we too would want to propose the positions outlined in the notices of motions included in the paper. So happy enough that that's been done, Chair.
Okay, thank you, members. And I would just remind you, if you could take your hands back down whenever you're finished speaking, it just means we don't get crossed wires. So I'm assuming then, members, we're all in agreement, proposed, seconded, and I probably be another report brought forward. Jonathan, would that be right? Yeah. Okay. Okay, members, the third item, 3.3, is actually for noting. So unless members indicate they wish to speak, I shall assume everybody is okay to note. Okay, no one has indicated. So we'll move on to agenda item 4, which is the community development report. Item 4.1, I'm going to hand over to Alison Clanahan.
Thank you, Chair, and good evening, members. The report you have before you this evening is an update on the collaborative approach to addressing antisocial behaviour, and also incorporates a decision request to approve the proposed ASB protocol approach to the coordination and management of antisocial behaviour calls and inquiries. The report does give an update on a number of key points, including ASB hotspots, partnership working, communications, which also includes the proposed protocol, as well as an update from the ASB working group. I am mindful that the report is quite detailed, but if members would be content that I just go over a few of the key points of note for this evening within it. As members would be aware, antisocial behaviour continues to be a high priority both internally and externally, and we continue to work in close collaboration with all of our partners and colleagues to continue to address the issues that are raised. With regards to ASB hotspots, there are currently 62 key hotspot areas which are regularly patrolled by our community safety wardens, and these are updated on a regular basis in close communication with the police as well, and the police are also kept up to date with those areas. Members will have a list of all of those areas attached for their information. Within these areas, there are a number of priority antisocial behaviour areas, including our council parks and open spaces. And some new areas which have recently been identified and added include the Armagh Shopping Centre, the Pine Bank Underpass, as well as just through the Antisocial Behaviour Working Group, Blairey Play Park and Donaghcloney Play Park. So we look to focus our efforts on those areas as well. In terms of partnership work and programme activity, officers internally from across community development and health and recreation continue to meet to develop and deliver collaborative opportunities and programmes. We last met in early October to plan for over the Halloween period, and we'll reconvene again in the new year to develop our spring and summer programmes as we go forward. Just wanted to mention in terms of the communication strategy, we have been having a particular focus on this in the last few months during the autumn period. And as part of this, the PCSP have just completed filming a series of videos with the police that look at the human cost of antisocial behaviour and actually talking to people who have been victims of antisocial behaviour. Along with that, we are developing a wider communication strategy that will include these videos, the reporting through the proposed protocols, and also into the new year, we'll be working closely with our communications department to look at the financial cost of antisocial behaviour and criminal damage, particularly with our buildings, facilities and parks. And we'll aim to bring that together in a comprehensive strategy. The Antisocial Behaviour Working Group continue to meet on a monthly basis, and we last met in early December, along with the police, the Youth Justice Agency and the Education Authority, who also sit with us on that working group. Lurgan Park still remains a high focus, and following that meeting, there's been a number of approaches that we're looking at putting in place, particularly dealing with young people accessing the park after hours, and we'll be working with the police and attached youth work teams to look at those issues. I just wanted to focus on the reporting of antisocial behaviour and the proposed protocols, which is a decision before yourselves tonight. As members would be aware, and you would have been previously updated, one of the key issues over the summer months was reporting of antisocial behaviour to a range of different quarters, a lot of reporting on antisocial behaviour on social media as well. And we wanted to try and look at an approach going forward that gave a clearer, I suppose, step-by-step guide for members of the public, as well as internally for officers who might be dealing with queries about that. And we will continue to review the proposed protocol approach. It is a work in progress, but we hope it does aim to provide a bit of consistency. Members will have attached as well as part of your appendices the proposed protocol for members of the public who might be calling to report an antisocial behaviour, and also internally for officers, whether they be in reception in our facilities or officers who are being contacted directly. And we hope it will give, I suppose, a clearer and simpler passage through the reporting of ASB so that the correct officers are pinpointed at the earliest point in time. And the protocol does look at establishing first points of contact, clarifying the type of antisocial behaviour and who should be contacted, and also obviously trying to keep the focus on people doing that in a timely manner. Members, the decision before yourselves is tonight is to approve this proposed cross-departmental ASB protocol approach to the coordination and management of antisocial behaviour calls and inquiries. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Alison. Councillor Cosby.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And apologies, I'm going to have to indicate by waving my hand at you because my mic is going automatically straight on to red. So, Alison, thanks for the report and thanks for the detail. And thank you for the level of work that goes in on this. I know sometimes it's a wee bit like chasing our tails, finding these locations where the antisocial behaviour is occurring, and we're getting there, and you're maybe there for a couple of weeks and it moves on somewhere else. But it would be remiss of me not to raise an issue with you here this evening about antisocial behaviour, not as of Jervis Street, the alleyway between Jervis Street, Alexandra Gardens, West Street and Fox Street, because it is currently a hotspot and has been presenting some major issues. And given the close proximity to quite a large number of houses, local residents are quite concerned about some of the behaviours, some of the activities. Property has been damaged, cars have been jumped on, things have been thrown over into the pensioners' gardens and things like that. And there is quite a degree of concern around that space there. We've had some of the businesses on along there too, and it's providing challenges for them. In fact, one of the businesses, I believe now, is amending their opening times as a result. But one of the issues is that we have picked up a number of reports, and some may have seen it across social media or whatever. There's issues around young people potentially carrying weapons with them as well. And I want to put on record just my concern about that, and also to make an appeal that young people would think twice about doing that, but also just to raise the prospect of maybe writing off to the Justice Minister to raise the potential of trying to get some disposal bins that would allow for young people to, if they have them or have carried knives or any offensive weapons, and they feel unsafe doing so, or maybe somebody's made them carry it or whatever, and they want rid of it, that they would have a safe place to get rid of that. So I suppose what I am asking for is a facility available to people where they could dispose of knives and offensive weapons safely, securely, and potentially anonymously if they were just to drop that off to get those weapons off the street. I am greatly concerned about that, and we've seen the level of incidents across Portadown, particularly around antisocial behaviour and violent incidents, which have sadly resulted in the loss of life and also severe life-changing injuries. So that would be my appeal, and I propose that we would write off to the Justice Minister and ask that she would consider that very seriously and look on it favourably as a request from this council going forward. So make that a formal proposal. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Cosby. So are you also proposing the item 4.1 as well? Yeah. Okay. I know that's possible.
With the inclusion of Jervis Street on the list.
Okay, and then a separate proposal around the letter to the Justice Minister. Yeah. Okay. All right, Councillor Tinsley.
Thank you, Chair. And again, Alison, I welcome the report. I welcome all the good work and everything that's going on with all the interagencies and community groups as well. It would be remiss of me, because I have been asking this for many, many years with regards to upgrading our CCTV. I know it's not just solely the responsibility of council, but I just don't know what it's going to take for the other interagencies or to see the benefit. We have been, as a council, we've been to other council areas to see how successful the model is in other council areas, and yet we still haven't moved forward whatsoever in this area. I think there's a lot of work that can actually be really strengthened, especially when it comes to identifying things very quickly that could stop escalating if we had a decent CCTV. Now, obviously, I'm talking about Portadown's my hometown, but I'm taking this across the board in all of the different hotspots areas that we do have CCTV. The time has come, we need it upgraded. We need to be looking at this, and I would very much, I suppose you can hear the frustration because I have been drumming on about this for many, many years, but I would like to see something moving forward with this, with regards to the other agencies. And I appreciate everything that is being done to date, but I think we could work much more smarter and much more better if we had that backup. And maybe that's something, Alison, we could get a bit of an update on and where we actually are. Has it been one of those things that we did a lot of work on and then it just got parked somewhere? So I'd appreciate an update, not necessarily tonight, Chair, but I would appreciate that in the future. And Chair, if you want, I can second both proposals at this stage.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Tinsley. I think it might be something maybe worth picking up through the PCSP as well, if some of our officers could let them know. I know that we had the rapid bin scheme that was quite successful, certainly successful in some areas across the borough. So maybe the PCSP could pick up on that proposal by Councillor Cosby. Are members in agreement on both? I'm seeing no indication otherwise. Okay, we're going to move on then, members. Item 4.2 is Piece 4 partnership minutes. Members, I'm assuming you've all read it. I don't think we necessarily need an officer to report on this. So if we could just have someone to propose and second the minutes. Councillor Twyble.
Yeah,
Alderman Twyble.
happy to propose as a member of the board, but also to clarify the position about declarations of interest. There would be the same overlaps. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Twyble. Anyone else wish to second the minutes? Folks, we're going to need someone to second. Alderman Spears. You take yourself off mute, Alderman Spears. We can't hear you.
I can't second them, but because I'm not a member of it, so it would have to be someone that actually was at the meeting. So I don't know who else was at any longer.
Okay, members, based on what Alderman Twyble has said, I think we can have a seconder from the floor. He was present.
Well, then I'm happy to second it then.
Okay, much appreciated, Alderman Spears. We'll now move on to item 4.3, Community Awards. I'm going to hand over to Seamus McCrory.
Thank you, Chair. Just item 4.3 is on the Community Awards for the 21-22 year. So there's a recommendation for members to agree to progress with the Community Awards as detailed in the body of the report. Members might recall this was discussed at November committee and then also discussed again at November council. Much of the detail is still the same, so I'll summarise the key differences, which just to clarify a couple of points that were discussed perhaps at council. Really, all of the awards categories are detailed in the report and that remains unchanged. Just proposing that there's a bit of a two-stage process, that there is nominations taken, that there is a light touch assessment of those nominations, and that all those groups passing through that stage will get a nomination award. Secondly, then each award category still will have a category winner, and those would be assessed in line with the assessment process. So the nomination form is attached. The application form is included for members' reference, and the reports before members this evening again for consideration.
Thank you, Seamus. Members, if you have any questions, please indicate. If not, I'm going to need a proposer and seconder. Alderman Burns. Sorry, Alderman Burns, could you take yourself off mute?
Thank you, Chair. I'm disappointed at this. After the last awards, I did raise my concerns that people were pitted against each other. It's different in the sports awards because it's competitive. But I think that anybody who fits the criteria that gets nominated for an award and is accepted, I don't think we should be making a difference. We're competing community workers from across the borough against each other here. And I think that if we set down criteria and people meet the criteria, everybody should get the same award. We have people who are going to get a paper certificate and then somebody's going to be a winner. I don't think that's fair. If they are doing community work throughout the borough voluntarily and giving of their time free, I don't think we should be making this into a competition. That's my run on it. And if it's going to go through in this format, I want to note that I am not supportive of it. I nominated someone the last time because in the legacy Banbridge, when anybody who met the criteria, everyone got the same award. And I nominated somebody last time, and if I had known that they were going to be an also ran and weren't going to get a community award, I wouldn't have nominated them. I wouldn't have insulted them. That's my take on it, Chair. But I want it noted that I object to the current format. Thank you.
Okay, your comments have been noted, Alderman Burns. Councillor McNeil.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to echo those words that Alderman Burns just after saying, because there were so many people involved in all the great work last year, and how do you distinguish one from the other? So as I said, I just want to, if there's a proposal for that, I'll second Alderman Burns on those actions. Thank you.
Don't think it was necessarily a proposal. I think it was more Alderman Burns wanted his comments noted that he was opposed to it. I personally didn't have an issue with it. I thought this was kind of a format that was used far and wide to recognise outstanding work within the community. I take the comments on board from both Alderman Burns and Councillor McNeil, but I'd be interested if we have an Councillor Baxter has indicated.
Yeah, thank you, Chair, for bringing me in on this. And, I do get what the two councillors are saying before me. Understand that volunteers work very hard to do it all for the love of their community. But the award ceremonies themselves, and I've attended quite a few over the years from early Craigavon days right up until recently, it adds to the excitement of the night. I think there's really a drum roll who's won this award, and even the Pride of Place Awards as well, which is a similar thing on a bigger scale. We go to every couple of years, I think, down in, I think the last one was in Kilkenny, and that's an Ireland-wide thing, and it's huge. And all the groups are there, all the groups are having a great night out, and then you're waiting on the winner, and the excitement and the buzz and the music and all, that's what it's all about. Community awards, and winning a community award is something spectacular. I think this would actually probably, what's being proposed, would take away from, the very fact that you've won an award. If everybody wins one, that's what they do with, it's what they do with nursery school football competitions. Nobody's a winner. Everybody's a winner, everybody takes part. That's just not the way probably it is in real life. And I think the award ceremony, that is what it's all about. It's about the glitz and about winning the award and the night and the excitement and all that. And I think this would take away from it. And while they're all worthy, you're all worthy winner to be there for a start. But I think if we're going to start giving awards to everybody, I think it's just a wee bit. I just think it's a wee bit much in my personal opinion. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Baxter. Councillor Tennyson.
Thank you, Chair. I can't believe I'm going to say it, but I actually agree with Councillor Baxter, which isn't a usual one. I think, certainly I've spoken to a lot of community groups and stuff who've been up for the awards before, and they've loved the excitement of, being up for the nomination on the night and the suspense and everything else. But I think it's a fair point that the two councillors have raised, and that there's been so much good work that has happened over the past couple of years that I'm sure there are going to be, huge numbers of worthy people. So maybe a way forward is if we could sort of agree to look at, appropriate recognition for people who are shortlisted, not that they're a winner, but that we ensure, that they're recognised appropriately. And if we keep the kind of award categories, open for review, so that if we do think, there's a need for an additional award category, or we've missed a group that's particularly worthy that doesn't fall under an existing category, that we could look at that as well. But I totally agree with Councillor Baxter. Thank you.
Okay, and just for clarity, it's my understanding is that there actually is a nomination award. You want to come? Yeah, I'm going to bring Seamus back in maybe to just clarify some of this, and then I will need a proposer and seconder, members.
Thank you, Chair. And yes, obviously we're, as officers, we're member hands on this one, and we'll go and further develop based on what members agree this evening. But I would like to clarify, what's being proposed is actually a nomination award, and then with a category winner. The only commentary that I would have as an officer in relation to that in terms of the applications, there can be a wide range. The nomination is going to catch everybody coming forward, and they will have delivered fantastic things. As an officer of council, we see that, and we have the privilege of working with those groups in different settings. The other side of it is that there could be a range of projects that are substantially different just in terms of scale and nature, and the award winner maybe allows an opportunity to pick out some of those. But if that isn't the right direction, then of course we can adjust. It will mean a slightly different format for the night, and officers will go away and we will work on that, because you'll be talking about a large number of award winners if we simply provide every nomination as a winner in that sense. So I hope that makes sense. It's just in members' hands. Either options, obviously, viable for officers to go and work on, and we will endeavour to do that after the decision's made.
Thank you, Seamus. Alderman Burns, are you indicating to come back in? Do you want to come back in yet?
Sorry, Chair, I didn't take my hand down.
No problem. Councillor Tennyson, sorry, I probably cut you off there. Do you want to come in then?
No, you're grand, Chair. It was just to propose the report as presented. Thank you.
Okay, Councillor.
Yep, happy to second, Chair.
Okay, I get the sense that there are a couple of members obviously don't agree with this, but I think the majority would be. Is that correct? Okay. Okay, members. Thank you. We're going to now move on to item 4.4 is an information item, chatty benches. So unless members are indicating to speak, I shall propose that we move on. Items 4.5 through to 4.8 are also information items regarding piece 4. If anybody has any questions on that, please indicate. I would draw your attention to item 4.8. It is worth members, if you get the opportunity, if you haven't already done so, to please read that. It is an update on SOAR. But apart from that, are members happy to move on? Councillor Cosby.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And it is just in relation to, it is an item for information, and it's about the Chatty Benches initiative. And just want to put on record, and thanks to the officers, we did request that they would bring something back. And I'm glad they've identified a location in Eden Villa, and I know it'll be well used there. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Cosby. Okay, members, we're going to move on now to confidential section. Sorry, Alderman Spears, do you wish to speak before?
A point of query. You mentioned SOAR in section 8. It's actually 7, is it not on the agenda? Am I right or wrong? Is there section 8 as well?
I am loath to say you're wrong in absolutely anything, Alderman Spears, but in this particular case, I think it is 4.8.
Right. 4.7 on mine.
Is there any questions, Councillor McAllen? You've indicated as well. I'm assuming.
Thank you, Chair. No question, Chair. It's just to confirm. I don't know what I have to do. I'm a member of SOAR, so it's just to put on record.
So am I. That's I have to confirm that, but
okay.
I do see it as 4. Thank you.
Councillor McNeil as well.
I'm here for myself, member of SOAR. Thank you.
Okay. Duly noted.
Chair, here as well.
Councillor McElrath. Okay. Councillor McNally.
The same, Chairman.
Okay, thank you. Okay, members, they have all been noted. Okay, we're going to move into the confidential section of business. So, members and online viewers, in accordance with Schedule 6 of the Local Government Act, we will now be moving into the confidential session of the Council. This means that we'll be turning off the public feed of the meeting. This will be returned when the meeting is restarted. Can I ask the ICT officers to please turn off the feed and confirm with me when the confidential section of this meeting can proceed? Yep, thank you. Okay, members, agenda item 7 is any other business. I have 2, which should be relatively short and painless, I hope. Councillor McAlinden.
Thank you, Chair. And look, it's been a long evening. I'm not going to keep you any longer, but it's in relation to Oxford Island. And as members maybe can remember, back in March, I had asked for a report to be brought back regarding the change of facilities and toilet facilities at Oxford Island. As yet, I'm still waiting on it, and I sent an email last month and no response. So I wanted to note it as well. And I'm sort of concerned the completion of the new player park, 200,000 player park, almost complete within the next month or two. The toilet facilities are not adequate for the numbers that will be going down to that park. And I'm concerned within yards of the player park, there is toilet facilities which are unfit for purpose. The water mains and the electricity mains are all there beside it, and I'm just looking at a report brought back with the possibility of improving those toilet facilities for the player park. And given that how busy Oxford Island was last year, and going forward and visits with new player park, and many people staying at home, it's going to be even busier. So basically, I'm looking at a report brought back ASAP. So thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you, Councillor McAlinden, and Councillor Catherine Nelson.
Thank you, Chair. And again, I won't keep members tonight, but I have been raising an issue around Pinebank, and Councillor Tinsley will be aware of this. A particular hedgerow that is just above our fields there, where the play park is, which is allowing some antisocial behaviour to go on, masked by the hedge. We did a site meeting, I think it was February of this year, and a commitment was given by the council to remove that hedge. At that meeting, we had the housing executive, who off of the back of that has actually purchased a fence to replace the hedge. We're now in December, and nothing has happened. Certainly nothing that I can report substantially back. I've been chasing this. I've spoken with officers. I've had all of it that's being costed, it's being considered. But mindful that a commitment was actually given back in February, so much so that the housing executive went and purchased fencing. It's frustrating, to be honest, and it makes it look like I'm not doing my job, Chair. So, I mean, I have today been committed to a phone call in the morning, possibly, but honestly, if I'm not getting anywhere with this, then I would wish to address this fully at full council. So, hopefully, in the morning, I get an answer on it either way to bring back to residents.
Thank you. Councillor Crosby wishes to make a comment.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm glad it's not just me, if I'm honest. And I think the previous 2 speakers have raised the same issue, but on 2 different subjects. And that is the lack of progress on issues when members raise them in this council. Last night, I had to send an email about Kernan Cemetery, an issue that was raised in this chamber some 18 months ago about the condition of the cemetery itself and getting access to graves because of muddy paths. And I followed that up again in November, on the 8th of November. And to date, I only got a response today because I emailed again last night. And I felt like I had to threaten to go to the press to raise it publicly. I have another issue through another department. I'm waiting on a response since May. I prompted that again in mid-November, and I'm still waiting on the response. It is appalling that members are coming back to this chamber time and time again, having to go through their emails and having to chase up all of these issues. I appreciate that officers have lots to do, officers are busy. I accept that as well. But sometimes the caseloads that members are getting are enormous, and you're frantically trying to get through them all as best you can, provide as much of an update as you possibly can as well. And some of these issues, you know, a senior officer could just say, yes, get that done. And some of these things could be sorted very, very quickly. But sometimes the wheels of this council just move desperately slow. And sometimes I feel like members' priorities just don't match up to the priorities sometimes of some of the most senior officials in this council. I'm sorry to have to say it, but I feel like I should.
Okay, members. that will bring us to a close for tonight's meeting. I would wish to turn it around slightly. And those, I'm not denigrating those comments. They're duly noted on their very serious issues. So hopefully they will both be picked up by officers as soon as. But I would like to take the opportunity, as it is the last meeting of the year, to just say thank you to our staff, our officers, to Donnie, to Hillary, for everything you've done this year, and just take the opportunity to wish you all a Merry Christmas and a safe home to those of us in the chamber. Okay, members, thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Good night.
Thanks, Keith.